Kendyls Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism or to our congregation, we want to get to know you and share a part of your journey. If this place is already your spiritual home, welcome once more. We need one another, and it is good to be together again. Through the gifts of technology, we also gather virtually to celebrate community and connections as we lean into the values of justice, compassion, and reason. Welcome to all those who are joining us in this way today. Together, we learn the love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service this morning. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love.
Arise, O souls, all arise.
Good morning. Good morning. Good job. I'm Richard Thompson, and I'm a member of All Souls. We're glad you're joining us here or online. Now we have the pleasure of recognizing those who are visiting us for the first time. If you're a first-time visitor, please raise your hand. And we'll bribe you to raise your hand by giving you a gift bag to you. So.
Is this my hand?
Yeah.
Is this my hand or is this one?
It's up to you. All right. You are welcome here with all of the identities you hold and in your fullness as a person. We hope that you bring your whole self to this time together. Today, our candle of memory is lit for Carol Selshus, who passed away on November 14th at the age of 97. Our thoughts are with her family and her son Eric. Following the service, the Reverend Kendyl Gibbons will lead our monthly enrichment class. The theme today is Ask the Minister Anything, but don't get too personal. This class welcomes visitors and new members. The enrichment class will be held in the meeting room. And today, I have the pleasure of welcoming to the pulpit the Reverend Dr. Matthew Johnson.
Our guest preacher this morning is the Reverend Dr. Matthew Johnson, who is the minister of our UU congregation in Rockford, Illinois. He also serves the Unitarian Universalist Association as a member of our Election Practices Committee. Matthew was my student intern 22 years ago in the year 2001-2002. It is a great personal pleasure to welcome him to our pulpit this morning. Will you please join me?
We gather for worship together. And I invite you to place your feet on the ground if they reach. Roll your shoulders back. Take a breath. The world is so much with us. The tasks of the day, the news of faraway places and nearby places, the joys and sorrows on our hearts, those we love, those we might be estranged from. our anxieties about what might come in the days to come or weeks to come, our worries, and our longings for a world of peace seems so far. For a world of joy, which sometimes we taste it and we feel it, and other times it seems like we could never. Breathe. We come to worship together, to shape what is worthy to be together in this hall and in this time and across time and space. To think on what matters, to let go of what's not serving you, what's not helpful, what's not useful, and to hold with tender mercy, love, and hope for this day and all the days to come. Let us worship together.
Here today, in this place and with these people, may we listen that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know. And may we know so that we can change ourselves and this world. May this chalice light our way. Please stand as you are able and join in the affirmation of our covenant. Then remain standing as we join together in song. Together we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
As we approach the beginning of the holiday season in American culture, let us express our gratitude for the harvest and for the gifts of friendship in the classic words of Max Kutz. And if you would like to participate in our harvest by welcoming one of the vegetables to your table, please take it home with you following the service. There is a sung response in this litany composed by our own Anthony Edwards. And so, Anthony, would you help us with the...
The choir will help us learn it. For these, here we go. Ready? 1, 2. As Kendyl introduces our ritual this morning, I will underscore what she's saying, and I'll bring us all in. So just watch and participate along. It's a lovely ritual of Thanksgiving.
Let us give thanks for a bounty of people, for children who are our second planting, and though they grow like weeds, and the wind too soon blows them away from us, may they forgive us our clumsy cultivation and fondly remember where their roots are. And all those we love, we give thanks. For funny friends who are as silly as Brussels sprouts and as amusing and bizarre as artichokes. For friends who are always there for us, as unpretentious as cabbages and as solid and accommodating as squash. Thank you. For serious friends with minds as complex as cauliflowers and thoughts as intricate as onions. And for handsome friends as gorgeous and shining as eggplants and as elegant and orderly as a row of corn. We give thanks. For everyday friends, as plain and nourishing as potatoes, and who, like carrots and turnips, can be counted on to see you through the winter. And for continuous friends with staying power, who, like peppers and cucumbers, keep reminding us that we've had them, and even those as endless and sometimes overwhelming as zucchini. All those we love, we give thanks.
Don't bear your light, but your best.
Thank you. For feisty friends as tart as lemons and as distinctive as dill, and crotchety friends as pungent as ginger and as emphatic as scallions. Also for generous friends with smiles as bright as apples and hearts as sweet as strawberries, as abundant and supportive as parsley. For these and all those we love, thank you. Give thanks. Thank you. For old friends, nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on as fast as radishes. For loving friends who wind around us like the tendrils of vines, and hold us despite all our blights, our wilts, and our witherings. And finally, for those friends now gone, like gardens past that have been harvested, who fed us in their times that we might have life hereafter. For these and all those we love, we give thanks. And we will now invite our children to depart for their classes with song.
Well, good morning, church. Good morning. All right, I'm Angela Allard. I'm one of the leaders with the Justice Action Network, and I'm here to introduce you to Ashley Gorman, one of our new leaders with the Justice Action Network. Jan is kind of helping the ministry team organize the Share the Plate program, in which All Souls help support justice work from organizations outside of All Souls. So, Ashley?
So I'm here to introduce to you today somebody very amazing, Trishawn Roberts, and they're from Transformations, and today they're the offering of our recipient. Recipient of our offering.
Good morning, church. Good morning. I'm Trishawn Roberts, and I'm part of Kansas City's Transformations. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Transformations. Transformations is a trans women of color-led Midwest nonprofit organization focused on healing, capacity building, and leadership. Development among trans communities of color in our Missouri, Kansas, and Northwest Arkansas, Ozark region. They formed in Kansas City in 2016 after a wave of violence and murders of trans women of color. I've been involved with the organization as an advocate and supporter and recently joined the organization in an official capacity as one of their community advisory board leaders. Helping shape the ways initiatives and programming reach our siblings. Some of the exciting programs we offer are our Liberation Camp for the trans BIP OC leaders in the Ozarks. The Dolls Are Thriving. Trans women of color in leadership, advocacy, and mentorship, and offering microgrants to trans young people and our sisters in need. You can learn more about our work at transformationskc.org or follow us on Instagram. Thank you.
And now the offering will be gratefully received.
Please join me in the dedication of our offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
Two readings this morning. The first are excerpts from the book The Human Condition by Hannah Arendt. Let me say a couple things about this. First, she wrote this book in 1963 or something like that, and the book has different sections. One is about sort of labor, about the activity of life and regular kind of putting food on the table. The other is about work, about fabrication of things and building stuff. And the other is about action, when we disclose the who of who we are to others through deeds and through speech. And so these two excerpts come from the section on action. Power preserves the public realm and the space of appearance. And as such, it is also the lifeblood of human artifice, which, unless it is the scene of action and speech of the web of human affairs and relationships and the stories engendered by them, lacks its ultimate raison d'etre. Without being talked about by people and without housing them, the world would not be a human artifice, but a heap of unrelated things to which each isolated individual was at liberty to add one more object. Without the human artifice to house them, human affairs would be as floating, as futile and vain as the wanderings of nomad tribes. The melancholy wisdom of Ecclesiastes, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. There is no new thing under the sun. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that come after. It does not necessarily arise from the specifically religious experience, but is certainly unavoidable wherever and whenever trust in the world as a place fit for human appearance, for action and speech, is gone. Without action to bring into the play the world new beginning, in which each person is capable by virtue of being born, there is no new thing under the sun. Without speech to materialize and memorialize, however tentatively, the new things that appear and shine forth, there is no remembrance. Without the enduring permanence of the human artifact, there cannot be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. And without power, the space of public appearance brought forth through action and speech in public will fade away as rapidly as the living deed and the living word. The second excerpt from later in that chapter, she writes, "What love is on its own, narrowly circumscribed sphere, respect is in the larger domain of human affairs. Respect, not unlike the Aristotelian political friendship, is a kind of friendship without intimacy and without closeness. It is a regard for the person from the distance which the space of the world puts between us. And this regard is independent of the qualities which we may admire or the achievements which we may highly esteem. Thus, the modern lack of respect, or rather the conviction that respect is only due when we admire or esteem, constitutes a clear symptom of the increasing depersonalization of public and social life. Respect, at any rate, because it concerns only the person, is quite sufficient to prompt forgiving for what a person did, for the sake of the person. But the fact of the same who, revealed in action and speech, remains also the subject of forgiving, is the deepest reason why nobody can forgive themselves. Here, as in action and speech generally, we are dependent upon others, to whom we appear as a distinctiveness which we ourselves are unable to perceive. Closed within ourselves, we would never be able to forgive ourselves any failing or transgression, because we would lack the experience for the person for whom the sake of whom one can forgive. Now, don't worry, I will explain what some of that means later. Trust me. The second reading is a poem by Naomi Shihab Nye, the Palestinian poet, entitled Gate A4. Wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal. After learning my flight had been delayed for hours, I heard an announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of Gate A4 understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses these days. Gate A4 was my own gate. I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian embroidered dress, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled to the floor wailing. "Help," said the flight agent. "Talk to her. What is her problem?" I told her the flight was going to be late, and she did this. I stooped to put my arm around the woman and spoke haltingly in Arabic. The minute she heard any words she knew, however poorly used, she stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled entirely. She needed to be in El Paso for major medical treatment the next day. I said, "No, we're fine. You'll get there. Just later. Who is picking you up? Let's call him." We called her son. I spoke to him in English. I told him I would stay with his mother till we got on the plane and ride next to her. She talked to him. Then we called her other sons, just for the fun of it. Then we called my dad, and he and she spoke for a while in Arabic and found out, of course, they had 10 shared friends. Then I thought, just for the heck, why not call some Palestinian poets I know and let them chat with her? This all took 2 hours. She was laughing a lot by then, telling of her life, patting my knee, answering questions. She had pulled a sack of homemade mamoul cookies, little powdered sugar, crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts from her bag, and was offering them to all the women at the gate. To my amazement, not a single woman declined one. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo, we were all covered with the same powdered sugar and smiling. There is no better cookie. Then the airline broke out free apple juice from the huge coolers, and 2 little girls from our flight ran around serving it, and they were covered with powdered sugar too. And I noticed my new best friend, by now we were holding hands, had a potted plant poking out of her bag, some medicinal thing with green furry leaves, such an old country tradition. Always carry a plant, always stay rooted to somewhere. And I looked around at that gate of late and weary ones, and I thought, this is the world I want to live in. The shared world. Not a single person in that gate, once the crying of confusion stopped, seemed apprehensive about any other person. They took the cookies. I wanted to hug all those other women too. This can still happen anywhere. Not everything is lost.
And I'd give up forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. And all I could taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your life. And sooner or later it's over, and I just don't want to miss you tonight. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand whenever everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. And you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your life, when everything feels like the movies. Yeah, you bleed just to know you're alive. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand when everything's made to be broken. I just want you to know who I am. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand when everything's made to be broken. I just want you to know who I am. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand when everything's made to be broken. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am.
What a gift. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. I said, can we do this? And he said, yeah, I think I have somebody. Indeed. In 1998, 25 years ago, that doesn't feel right, does it? 25 years. It feels like just yesterday, at least to some of us, right? 1998. In 1998, I was a college student, about to start seminary, and I took one of the most extraordinary classes in my long academic career, a full semester of reading Hannah Arendt. Yes, we read her classic Eichmann in Jerusalem on the banality of evil, in which she argued that Adolf Eichmann's evil, he was a primary architect of the Holocaust, was less about malice than it was about his failure to think, to exercise his conscience. And we read On Totalitarianism, which explores the way in which totalitarian and fascist regimes work by eliminating the social common space where people can be free, by controlling media and through cults of personality and conspiracy thinking. But we spent most of the semester on the human condition. There's so much in this text about what it means to be human in the modern age, about the purpose of our lives, about power and community and death and memory. I read to you a few parts of it which get at one of her more important arguments, and she's a thick writer, not as thick as Kant or Heidegger, but thick. So let me say what it means. Namely this: we long to be seen, to be known as we are. And this can only happen when we act. Action for her are those acts where we disclose ourselves to others through deeds and speech, where we are courageous, where we don't just go along, but act as a unique person. We are not the what of life, but the who of ourselves. Not what, but who. And she says that when we close the sphere of action, when we live in a world of disposable things, then we cannot be known. Then our lives become about consumption, about obedience, about nationalism or ideology, instead of about truth and courage and possibility. She wasn't the first to make this argument. The ancient Greeks made a similar argument, which she is bringing back, and you hear echoes of it in Brene Brown's well-known claim that it's vulnerability that is the most courageous, and without which we cannot be ourselves or form deep relationships. Arendt's book made such a strong impression on me back in 1998. That same year, 1998, a movie about an angel who chose mortality because he fell in love hit the theaters, starring Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan. The soundtrack was amazing, and one of the songs was by the Goo Goo Dolls and named Iris. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I heard that song in 1998, and I thought, oh my God, he's been reading The Human Condition by Hannah Arendt. It is possible that I am an enormous nerd. There is no evidence that Resnick, the author of the song, read the book, but the song and the book are saying exactly the same thing. When everything is made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. The character chooses love and death and vulnerability because what he wants most is to be known for who he is. Not the role, not the identity, the image, the projection, not the what, but the who. 25 years ago, I read this book and I heard this song, and I've been thinking about them both a lot recently. About how hard it is to be authentic, vulnerable, to disclose your being through action, to be loved and respected, not for your what, but for your who, about how everything is even more made to be broken, how isolated and lonely we are. We just want to be known. It's so hard. On social media, it is a performance mostly, and God forbid you say the wrong thing. In love and dating, if you open your heart too soon, you're needy, and you better not be that. In politics, Lord have mercy. We speak only to those we already agree with, suspect everyone's motives unless it is our team, and they can do no wrong. We don't listen, we attack. Meanwhile, we drive around in our isolated cars, seeing not people, but obstacles. We approach the world as consumers. What is it worth? Is there a refund? There's a coarseness, a cruelty, a viciousness, a shell of armor and a shield of feigned disinterest. So, of course, it feels like nobody knows who we are. We sing the song, how could anyone say, you were anything but beautiful? I love that song. But we say those words all the time, that you're not beautiful. We say it all the time. It's said in the world all the time. We're ungenerous with each other, and I've done it too. Every day I try to do better, and I often fail. It's really hard to swim upstream in this culture of cruelty. It's hard. No judgment here. Solidarity. We are in this together. So we sing, how could anyone say you were anything but beautiful? But we say you're not beautiful all the time. And you know who we say it to the most. You know, we all do. We say it to ourselves. It is so often that the person that we are the least generous to, who we cut the least slack, who we judge the fastest, is ourselves. Breathe. Breathe. Say it with me if you like. Although the bag does not inflate, oxygen is flowing to the mask. If you are traveling with a child or someone who requires assistance, secure your mask on first, then assist the other person. Or to put it another way, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. I firmly believe that we must learn to be generous with ourselves, to be compassionate and understanding with ourselves if we wish to be real and genuine and authentic with others. We're often taught backwards from this, that we shouldn't be selfish, that we should care about others more than ourselves. And if you are socialized as female, you are told that caring for others is your nature. If you are socialized as male, you are told to keep your feelings to yourself, that gentleness with your own heart is weak. One of the many gifts, by the way, of transgender and non-binary people is to call these harmful socializations into question. But either way, learning to see ourselves as beautiful, lovable, worthy, imperfect, and still sacred is both countercultural and, I believe, the heart of learning to be generous with each other. If we cannot be generous with ourselves, our generosity with others will lead us to resentment and burnout and inauthenticity and paternalism and all that stuff. Breathe. Breathe. Here is a self-compassion meditation. You can find these to read or listen to online easily. They're not complicated. Here's one. I invite you to. Sit back in your chair. Breathe out. If you feel comfortable doing so, you can close your eyes. You don't have to. Breathe. Here are options. You can give yourself a hug. Put your hands on your arms and squeeze just a little pressure, not too much. Or you can take one hand in the other and gently move them against each other. Or you can simply sit and breathe. You might bring to mind a thing you're dealing with. Not something super heavy right now. This is a brief meditation, but something that's on your heart. And say to yourself, this thing is a struggle. Breathe. Say to yourself, everyone has struggles. It's part of life. Breathe. Say to yourself, may I be kind to myself. Or may I give myself what I need. Breathe. Your loving yourself is a miracle. You are somebody holy and beautiful. Breathe. Release your hands, open your eyes, breathe. You can do that anytime. I always feel more grounded and whole when I do it. Do I do it as often as I should? Nope. But this is not about being the best at self-compassion. In fact, quite the opposite. It is about accepting yourself for who you are. We just want folks to know who we are, and that starts with knowing ourselves. And then from there, at the same time, perhaps in tandem, being generous with one another. Breathe. Before we attack, before we get defensive, before we judge, before we demonize, breathe. Take the log out of your eye and say to them, your loving is a miracle. I wonder what it would be like if we said that. In the car, to the other driver, in the line at the store, across the table from a friend or family member, someone you've struggled with, to an enemy. Your loving is a miracle. Some of you are going to have a chance to practice this on Thursday around a table. Your loving is a miracle. And what if we asked for that generosity for ourselves, said, in a world that's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am, and I want to know who you are. I see you. Do you see me? Not the what, but the who. Not the identity or the job, not child or parent or worker or liberal or radical, not smart or artistic or flighty or boring, not that, but your soul. The unique and precious you, not the what, but the who. I want to see you, and I want you to see me. It's how we unbreak the world, make safe the space of public appearance where action and all that comes with it, possibility and creativity, freedom and conscience, resistance to totalitarianism even, yes, that too, the space of public appearance where action can take place, where we can experience both our individual calling and our common humanity. I mean, quite explicitly, for us to name this vulnerable need and to claim this space for yourself and others. In the heat of the moment, when tempers rise or judgment creeps, to say out loud, I am trying to respect you as a person, and I ask that you make the same attempt with me. Or, your loving is a miracle. Can you acknowledge the same about me? I'm going to try this more. Out loud, for real. Feels risky, doesn't it? To say something like that. I recently celebrated the 20th anniversary of my ordination to ministry, and it was my internship supervisor and mentor, the Reverend Dr. Kendyl Gibbons, who preached the sermon that evening and said that the purpose of the church and of ministry was not good programs or community or a balanced budget, as useful as all those things are, but was to respond to our common human hunger to be more serious, to find meaning that transcended the broken parts of the world, the empty places and forgotten rituals, that this human hunger to grow wise was what we were about. I remember it to this day, 20 years later, and it is never too late to take up that invitation, to see and respond with generous love to the beautiful soul that is in you and in every person. To do so in this ungenerous culture and this ungracious time is a deeply countercultural act. It would be a lifelong journey requiring us to let go of so much and build new muscles and new neural pathways. But can you imagine that life? Can you taste it? Feel it in your body? Feel the spaciousness of breath, the kindness to your own heart and to others? Can you taste it? Does it taste like mamul cookies with powdered sugar? That's what it tastes like for me. We'll come back to that, but I want to say one more thing about this first, about being generous with other people. This does not mean that we abandon our boundaries of safety and decency. This does not mean an absence of accountability or that people can be as hurtful to us as they want and we just have to take it. Indeed, I think that being generous, resisting the broken world with love, it requires us to insist on accountability and healthy boundaries. We need to say, my loving is a miracle, and so if you cannot treat me like that, and you cannot be around me until you stop. Sometimes we might say even, I respect your inherent dignity, but you can never be around me because you haven't respected mine in egregious and dangerous ways. Mostly, though, we just need to call each other in, to call ourselves in with grace when we are the ones who stray, and gently but clearly to call others in when they are cruel or hurtful. We need to think of accountability not as a weapon, but an invitation to see the beauty and care for community all around us. I'm really going to try to do this. And it means I'm going to have to change things and have some harder conversations, but I'm tired of living in an ungenerous world, both with myself and others. Aren't you? Can you join in trying to live this way? Can we do this together? After all, isn't this the world we wish to live in? To say with a poet, not all is lost. To be rooted and generous and to answer the invitation to see the humanity that we seek. To be less suspicious, more gracious. Isn't this the world we wish to live in? Doesn't it taste like mamul cookies and powdered sugar? Generous spirit of life and love, gracious, holy power of hope and action, in a world that's made to be broken. May we be known for who we are. May the beauty in us shine forth. May we be compassionate with our precious heart and with one another, knowing always that we are somebody. Generous spirit of life and love reside in us this day and all the days to come. Amen. We're going to sing together, and so I invite you to rise in body and or in spirit for 1053, which you heard from the choir before, and now we will sing it, How Could Anyone? The words for our benediction from the poet Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the blue air are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. I'll extinguish the chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we gather again. Go in peace.